I say that not because they should be shocking, but because we're taught that women don't behave like that.
Hey John, appreciate the stitch, and you are absolutely right. Women are just as capable of all the same abhorrent behaviors as men. They're just as capable of being abusive or violent, of being gross or crass or predatory. And I'd say that rather than suggesting that is not the case, these conversations carry an implicit understanding and acknowledgement of that fact. For example, if we say that 80% of all violent crime is perpetrated by men, then we're accepting that about 20% of violent crime is perpetrated by women. When we say that 90 to 95% of all violent sexual crime is perpetrated by men, then we're also accepting that women perpetrate around 10 to 5%. And I think you hit the nail on the head in your video when you suggest that it can be shocking or surprising to learn that women behave in this way, entirely because we're not taught that this is a normalized part of women's behavior. There's a stereotype, a cage if you will, of what society expects a woman's behavior to be. And these unacceptable, immoral, and dangerous behaviors lie outside of that cage. Whereas for men, you rightly call out that it is more socially acceptable. That stereotype, that cage of what a man is supposed to be, does include some of those unacceptable, immoral, and dangerous behaviors. I can't tell you the number of times I've seen someone comment that you don't dangle a piece of meat in front of a bear and not expect them to react in response to the topic of men essaying women. We're only too happy to accept and tell each other that men are predators and will snap if provoked. And normalizing that behavior paves the way for even worse behaviors to be normalized. You mentioned some women going to gay bars for the challenge of trying to sleep with a gay man. But those women don't spike the drinks of those men. They don't dedicate an entire subreddit to that concept. One that is so vile that this is about all I can show you. And the rest of it is so much worse. Absolutely soul destroying. And as you said in the comments, this is absolutely heartbreaking. It hurts to be judged based on the normalization of behavior that is absolutely beyond your control. Now, men's advocates say that we fix this problem by just ignoring it, by not talking about it, that being mean to men is the problem. Now, we say we fix this by rejecting the cage, denying that this is just a part of men's nature and that these unacceptable, immoral, and dangerous behaviors are not an unavoidable consequence. They are a choice, and one that men can refuse. That just like when we see those behaviors in women, those behaviors in men should be shocking and surprising. And the point is to call out that what is preventing us from getting to that place is that far too many men partake in and justify these behaviors, or provide excuses for the men who do them. That men deny this as a problem on one hand, and on the other, the prevailing narrative that men themselves tell women about other men is that they can't be trusted and they're only after one thing. You're right that it hurts to be judged in this way, and I don't think we can fix that for us. But there's a whole generation of young men looking for role models, trying to make sense of a world that feels hostile and oppressive. And we need more men to be vocal about rejecting the prevailing narrative about men. That they're aggressive, violent, dangerous, and predatory, and that's just how men are. Instead, educating that men can be empathetic, compassionate, and understanding. They can reject violence, domination, and control. That they can work on being less of a threat, and listening to the voices of marginalized and oppressed communities, and aid them in combating that oppression. And from what I can see, John, that is the work you're trying to do and engage in, and that is fantastic. On behalf of all men, I'm grateful for you for being a part of changing that narrative and engaging in the work. Hopefully, as more men find their voice and show a different way of being, we can get to a place where such behaviors in men are no longer justified, but are seen as unexpected and surprising.